at the national level is that public of Pakistan is suffering because of that. This extreme polarization has created schisms and spaces which are then, once they are not filled by political forces, are filled by those forces which probably do not have political aspirations. They are more militant and they are more aggressive in their policies and in their practices, and that's how then they fill the places. However, coming to my point, I would say that I'll try to summarize the governance dynamics of KB broadly in 5 categories. Number 1, the main category is the governance paradigm. When we look at the governance paradigm, it has 3 components, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. One is the administration of the region which is infested with militancy or which is affected by militancy directly. It's the administration, the commissioner and the deputy commissioner and the assistant commissioners and the tahsildars and the local administration. It is one major prime factor in the standard of governance is the administration at the district level. Then attached to that and connected to that is the law enforcement paradigm. Police, FC and other law enforcement agencies which are supposed to maintain law and order in that region. And the third, which is very important component, is the judicial component. The prosecution of criminals, those who violate the law or take law in their own hands, the miscreants, arrest, prosecution, and then their subsequent convictions. This judicial dimension also needs a lot of focus, which in my opinion does not get the required level of attention as it is supposed to be. We are focusing on administration, we focus on law enforcement, but that area remains weak. And it is where, it's the net, it's the hole in the net from where the, whatever the prey you catch, it runs away, it escapes. As far as the government of KP is concerned, in all these 3 respects, 3 fields, of course, financial resources are also being put into improving the situation. Training of officials, recruitment of police officers, police and related law enforcement agencies in coordination and collaboration with armed forces. Trainings have been done, police has been trained, and specifically the counter-terrorism department and also our other, those law enforcement agencies which directly deal with terrorism. They are being trained, training is still going on, and a huge amount of resources have been allocated in billions. Almost 30 billion rupees have been allocated just to only to strengthen the police force in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. We have issues with the administration side because most of the officers who are from the civil bureaucracy, they're not usually inclined to serve in these areas because of the lack of facilities, because of law and order situation, threat, and the threats that they perceive are there, and of course there are. So usually it's not a station, a merged district or a tribal area or places where there is high frequency of terrorism. These are not places where civil officers volunteer to go. They usually are reluctant, and this is one of the challenges. But anyways, I mean, we are trying to put our best officers there to serve the people and to manage the governance system there. Judiciary is, as I said, is a problem, and that we need to consider and focus on. The reason being that there are no courts as such operational in those regions. So most of the courts have been set up in the settled districts, adjacent settled districts. This is, of course, a problem for the litigants, for in civil cases as well as in criminal cases. Because of the distance and because of the, at times, lack of experience of prosecutors as well as the district attorney's office who prosecute on behalf of the government, their training, their facilities, capabilities are also lacking, and so some of these components are being trained and a lot of money is being spent on that as well. But of course the results will start appearing in a while. I mean, it's a bit slow. The progress is slow. Within this particular categorization of components that I enumerated, the fourth one is the socio-economic uplift programs. Socio-economic factors are most important in terrorism-infested or terrorism-affected areas. Many projects, many developmental initiatives have been undertaken by the provincial government, but of course, a lot more is needed. It's not enough. We need a lot more investment. We need huge amounts of initiatives, funding, and in order to make sure that the initiatives are there for the socio-economic development of the regions. Now, again, there is another challenge that for the administration and for the government, when I'm talking about these issues, of course, I mean the political leadership is in the forefront of all this. Political government in the KB, in the province, and also the local level political leadership, they have to take the lead in all these initiatives. So, insofar as socio-economic initiatives are concerned, of course they are being undertaken. More is required, no doubt about it. However, for political leaders, the most important imperative, as I would refer to it, is that there should be a justification of socio-economic activities along with and integrated with the security concerns, because security problems are there. So unless there is an integrated approach towards understanding and implementation of socio-economic activities or initiatives with security concerns, the results would remain, I believe, I know, this is one of the problems that I talk too much and I'm asked to stop. So, but 2 minutes. So, so this linkage between socio-economic activities and security concerns is extremely important. So security imperatives is very important. This is for the politician to focus on, and I believe some of us are doing it, but still we have issues and problems, and of course there is no ideal performance. The last, which in my opinion as information, responsible for the information side of the KP government is concerned, it is the narrative dynamics. Narrative by the terrorists or the militants, which is very effective at times, the way, because for them, they have no responsibility, they have zero responsibility to people, but they have a lot of crime to do. Emotional exploitation of people's grievances, it makes it easy for them to craft a narrative that touches people's sentiments and emotionally excite them and then win them over. And then, as I said, the gap that they find is in the governance, the governance mechanisms. They find gaps, they exploit those gaps, and they try to fill them with the sympathy that they generate through their emotional narrative. It is either religious emotionalism or ethnic emotionalism or sectarian emotionalism, like the one we saw or we experienced recently in Kurum district. A lot of sectarian issues were highlighted, and then an attempt was made to kind of exploit them against the state and to blame the state agencies for all the grievances, whereas most of the grievances are probably not because of the state agencies, it's because of the overall social dynamics and regional complications that we have in this region. So anyways, so this is important, but now for the state and for the politicians, the most important response is that they should have a unified narrative. Unfortunately, in my opinion, even the overall state of Pakistan has failed to come up with a strong, appealing, convincing narrative against the militants. We do have a knee-jerk reaction at times. We do come up with national action plan. We do say we need to do this and that. We get fatwas from religious scholars, but then we forget about all that, and then there is a gap, and terrorists pounce, take the lead, fill the gap, and create another problem for us. And then we restart all the exercises that we had already forgotten about. So this is one of the weakest areas in my experience, and because I'm dealing with it, I believe that in this particular respect, and as the worthy governor in his speech spoke about spectrums, illegal spectrums, the control of illegal spectrum is highly pertinent in this respect. Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, and I've been always requesting them and the relevant quarters that Pakistan Telecommunication Authority must, and to some extent PEMRA, but mostly PTA, must devise a mechanism to control social media propaganda, because that is where the weakness of the state lies. I'm not asking for control of social media, I'm talking about regulating the social media so that at least anti-state narrative is cut down and pro-state narrative is promoted. Having said this, the last point that I want to highlight with Barrister Saif, बस आखिरी 1 मिनट में मैं बात करना चाहूँगा, is the quality of statehood. There are political scientists, they'll discuss that, probably it's more pertinent to their discourse, but my understanding of the situation is that here we are talking about the state of Pakistan. But there is a difference in approach when you handle terrorism. Terrorism is an ingrown problem. So the characteristics of state are totally different than the characteristics of statehood. We need to identify and distinguish between both these two, between these two aspects of relating to state. Statecraft. State is a political, social, geographical, legal entity within a particular area, and it has its own dynamics. But statehood is the quality of that particular state, the way it, and the characteristics of their state, the way it controls its population, the way it governs itself, the way it carries itself forward. I think we need to focus more on on strengthening the quality of our statehood. We have issues of governance, which is a quality of statehood. We have issues of resilience of the state. How does it respond to threats internally? What is the capability of it? How does it adjudicate? And most importantly, how does it sell its narrative to its own people? Because if your own people are with you, then you are a stronger state. If there is no hope or lesser hope, if there is lack of confidence, if there is lack of trust between the state institutions and the public, then terrorists, militants, and all those miscreants, they find a niche, they exploit, and they hit back at you. So, having said all this, my understanding is that spending billions of rupees is indeed important, but it's not the only way out. Terrorism has to be fought with all the strengths that we have. Love for Pakistan, love for country, but at the same time, confidence and trust, winning confidence and trust of the people. And for that, political leadership is very important. And having said this, Pakistan being a polyarchy state, I call it a polyarchy because it is ruled by a few political parties. And that's it. Whether those political parties really enjoy the confidence of its people is a question to be asked. We need to improve that. We need to focus on that in order to make ourselves strong. Thank you very much.